Naam, karibu tena mtazamaji.
Na bila shaka kuna mengi ambayo tumekuangazia katika wakati huu wa sasa hivi, lakini kwanza nafikiri tuelekee tujue yaliokuwa yameendelea mapema mno kule IEBC.
Manake upande wa mwakilishi wa kike Bi Sabina Chege ulikuwa ukiongozwa na Utende Amolo, James Orengo na vile Martin Olo. Waliomba dakika 30 IEBC kutoka kidogo
ili kuweza kuafiki yale ambao wameweza kuzungumzwa na ule ambao unawakilisha Sabina Chege. Kumbuka kwa ameitwa kuhusiana na masuala ya nidhamu, kuhusiana na matamshi aliyoweza kuyatoa ambayo yanafungamana zaidi na uchaguzi uliopita. Kwa hiyo basi kabla tujue watakuja na kuzungumza yapi, tusikize kwanza kilichojiri hapo awali.
To ask the secretary, Mr. Weir, to read the statement of breach.
The committee chairperson, and councils present. This is the statement of breach in the matter of the second schedule of the Elections Act, in the matter of breach of the Electoral Code of Conduct, subject Honorable Sabina Chege, Muranga County Woman Member of the National Assembly. Statement of breach is breach of clause 6A and clause 6L of the Electoral Code of Conduct. Particulars of breach are as follows: that Honorable Sabina Chege, Muranga County Woman Member of the National Assembly, you are accused that on the 10th of February 2022, while at a public rally at Isibuye area within Vihiga County, you uttered the following words: mnajua kule Central nimesikia wengine wakisema hapa tuliwaibia. Kuna kaukweli kidogo, lakini kama tulijua kuiba, si hata hii tutafanya nini? Wanafikiria wao ndio wajanja. Which words contained in your statement creates an impression that the Jubilee Party, to which you belong, in quotes, stole the 2017 general elections and that it plans to steal or compromise the general elections 2022. Further, your statement casts aspersions on the integrity of the general elections 2017, specifically that the voting system developed by the Commission is penetratable, not secure, and falls foul of the requirements of Article 86 of the Constitution of Kenya 20. Mr. Chairman, that is the... Thank you.
We want to address you on some preliminary issues before we can deal with this purported statement of breach. They fall in different and several categories. I'll make an opening statement, and my learned friends will proceed to articulate those issues.
You're raising a preliminary objection to the breach? Yeah. And the several objections, or one?
Several. As you know, the provisions of the Constitution are mandatory, especially when they apply to a body such as this committee. And there's Article 50 of the Constitution, as read with the other articles, particularly the article dealing with fair administrative action. Whenever a public body is vested with authority to deal with matters which touch on constitutional rights, particularly in the Bill of Rights, there must be strict compliance. And Article 19 of the Constitution stipulates that the Bill of Rights is an integral part of the Kenyan democracy. And therefore, first of all, we have a problem with this statement of breach. Because before you can make accusations against anybody, those accusations must be set out in clear terms. And as you can see from the charge, it is a redacted version. It's a redacted version of what is purported to be the statement by Honorable Sabina Chege. And if you look at the rhetorical syntax of this purported statement, there is no clear assertion. For her to be accused of committing a breach, there must be a statement couched in very positive and clear syntax. And therefore the fact that it has been redacted, in our view, this is for a collateral purpose to defeat the ends of justice. You are not telling us clearly what she's accused of saying. And that's why you have statements, mnajua kule central, nimesikia. That is a rhetorical statement, couched with an element of sarcasm. And then there are statements like, tutafanya nini? Again, how do you draw the inference on a statement which is redacted? What did she say that follows the words nini? So I think for you to have a clear statement of breach, they should set up in clear terms so that Honorable Sabina Chege would know clearly what she's being accused of, said and done, and the full impact of those words can only be understood by having a proper and unredacted version of what she is accused of saying. Secondly, commission presided over the chairman. So there's a clear breach of the tenets of natural justice, that you cannot be both the accuser and the court to determine as to whether or not Sabina Chege should stand trial, as it were, on these issues. I would want Honorable Molo now to deal with the issues of jurisdiction and other matters that we have set out, for which we want a full response from the Commission before Honorable Sabina Chege can be heard to respond to these charges. But I think more importantly, I think the question that you, Mr. Chairman, are presiding over a trial in which you are the ones who have come with this accusation, goes to the very against the very basic tenets of our system of justice. And I would want at an appropriate time to give you a copy of that judgment, in which in fact Honorable Wanjala was convicted to pay 50,000 shillings. And the High Court said that cannot be, you cannot be an accuser and court and the judge at the same time. So, Honorable Chena Molo.
You showed us the judgment? Yeah, because of the... Okay. All right.
you a copy of the judgment, but it should be in your records here.
Thank you. I hope Honorable Tienda Molo will be as brief as Senior Counsel Orengo.
Yes, I'll endeavor to be brief. Mr. Chairman, on the outset, we have utmost respect for this committee, and that is why we have come in compliance with your invitation, and that is why we also want things to be done as by law provided. Senior Counsel Orengo has addressed you in the context of Article 50. Let me add that the further article to be considered is Article 47. Senior Counsel Orengo has addressed you on two issues, so in the interest of time I won't repeat them. First is the request for a full text of what was said by Honorable Sabina Chege, because unless you get the full text, it becomes impossible to respond. Yes.
Is this the police?
The second issue on which Senior Counsel Orengo has addressed you is the question of being prosecutor, a judge, and may I add a witness in this context. And I think he'll provide the decision. Let me address you on three additional issues as quickly as I can. The third issue is the context of the summons. The summons that Honorable Sabina Chege received starts by saying, whereas the Commission is seized of a report and material. It suggests, Mr. Chairman, that there was a complainant who therefore lodged a report. Or alternatively, that the Commission of its own motion generated a report. It would be fair to provide either the name of the complainant and the complaint, or the report to us before we can respond to the accusations. Number 4 is a fundamental issue on jurisdiction, and there are two parts of it. The first one, Mr. Chairman, is that both the summons and the letter indicate that they have been issued under Clause 6A and 6L of the Electoral Code of Conduct, which is actually Schedule 2 of the Act. And the fundamental question there, as I will demonstrate, is Honorable Sabina Chege currently subject to the Electoral Code of Conduct? Indeed, is the Electoral Code of Conduct in force as we speak now? A corollary question: has she subscribed to the Code of Conduct for purposes of the elections projected to be held on 9th of August, such as she can be subjected to its contents? Mr. Chairman, if you look at the schedule, Schedule 2 is made pursuant to Section 110 of the Act, which provides for the Electoral Code of Conduct. It starts by saying at 110(1), every political party and every person who participates in an election or referendum, is there currently an election or a referendum? Is there any basis of suggesting that Honorable Sabina Chege is or will participate in that election or referendum when it comes? It is important to note, Mr. Chairman, that if you go now to the code itself, it starts by saying it's restricted to people participating in an election or referendum and who have subscribed to observe the electoral code. Who have subscribed to observe the electoral code. That subscription comes periodically, usually after you have gazetted the date of the election, and I'll demonstrate that, and then every candidate is required to subscribe to the code. Is Honorable Sabina Chege currently a candidate for any seat? Mr. Chairman, if you go further, you will see Clause 6 that is spoken of starts by saying all those bound by this code, and all those bound must be those who have subscribed, shall throughout an election period. This code is restricted. Mr. Chairman, under Section 14 of the Act, what is the election period to mean the period that shall have been published in the Gazette by yourself, and in the case of a general election, at least 60 days before the date of the election. In the case of an election under 138, then it would be 21 days. That is for the presidential election. And so the question, the fundamental question, before we even come to the content of Clause 6A and Clause 6L is the Honorable Sabina Chege subject to this code as to invite her to answer to any part of it? We invite your finding on that because our preliminary conclusion is in the negative. That until such time as you have gazetted the election period, 60 days to election, and required candidates, who for now we do not know who will be a candidate for whatever position, required candidates to subscribe, then you cannot subject her or anyone else to this code.